off of what album cover looked cool. And I got AC/DC Highway to Hell like that. I got Rush Permanent Waves like that. And I absolutely got Black Sabbath Heaven and Hell like that. I remember seeing the cover. I had, again, remember, I'm 15. I'm just starting to emerge out of the bubble that consumed me for a few years called Kiss. I'm just about to emerge from the cocoon that was nothing but Kiss for a couple years before. And I said to the guy, the number comes up, I said, I'll take that one with the angels smoking cigarettes on the cover. And yeah, I'd heard the name Black Sabbath. I didn't know much about them. I mean, I had no idea at the time that it was a first record with a new singer, nothing. I just thought the album looked cool, the cover looked cool, heard of the band, hopefully they're a good hard rock band. Okay, I'll take that. And I remember, now it's crazy because of course these are the days of vinyl. And since I was at a vacation home, there wasn't a turntable there. So many times I'd get the record and then have to wait a day or two to actually hear it until I got home and could put it on my stereo. So I remember getting home, I remember putting the record on and just being floored. And being floored at the vocals, being floored at the production, the songs, everything. And to this day, 40 years later, I am still floored by the album. And I quickly, like when I would discover any band who were sort of midstream in their career at that point, I would go back and get their previous records. And with Sabbath, the album I got next was the compilation We Sold Our Souls, because that was a good way to get a cross-section of all their previous material. To this day, it's really weird with me with Sabbath, because to this day, my history with Black Sabbath as far as complete albums goes from Heaven and Hell forward. Meaning that all of the early records and the great records they are with Ozzy, I'm not discounting those at all. I mean, but all of those records, to this day, like I am never quite sure which song was on which original studio record, because of course, I have all the records individually now, and of course, I've listened to them, but my point of reference on all the Ozzy Sabbath stuff is from compilations, not necessarily the albums the songs originated on, because that's how I got turned on to them as a kid. And that's how I listened to Sabbath most of my life, from various compilations, starting with We Sold Our Souls prior to Heaven and Hell. But Heaven and Hell to this day is probably still my favorite all-time Black Sabbath record. And I got to always say this, the Mob Rules is like right there with almost being equally as great. It's incredible how Sabbath made two unbelievable albums with a new lead singer at the time in Dio, and of course on Mob Rules, a new drummer as well. But the quality of the material, the songs, the singing, it just unreal. Unreal. And when I noticed and heard on Saturday, and the Dio official Twitter tweeted this out, and I posted about it as well, that Heaven and Hell was turning 40, I had to say something about it. Because it was such an important record to me. It's such a timeless album. And, you know, you think about it, and if you were listening to the show last week, had a great conversation with Vinny Appice, who would come in on the tour for that album. And if you missed it, please grab it on the app, because the talk with Vinny was so good last week. So many great stories from him. But think about that year, man. Think about 1980. Think about what was going on. I mean, you took Ozzy out of Sabbath, and then he went and made Blizzard of Oz, which was mind-blowing. And then Sabbath, who were left for dead, goes and gets Dio and makes Heaven and Hell. Talk about addition by subtraction. I mean, crazy, right? And make no mistake, there was absolutely rivalry going on at that time between the two camps. And I think it's safe to say that Ozzy probably got the better of it in terms of airplay and sales and commercial success. But man, if I've got to have fun with this one if you want to ponder something in your downtime. Pondering Blizzard of Oz and Diary versus Heaven and Hell and Mob Rules. Whew. I mean, that's unbelievably difficult. But that's what I mean by addition by subtraction. We took a band apart and ended up with 4 unbelievable albums. But 8 songs on Heaven and Hell, not a clunker in the bunch. Neon Nights, Children of the Sea, the first song that Iommi and Dio ever wrote together. Remember, the other big thing about Heaven and Hell was it was the first time Geezer Butler did not write the lyrics in Black Sabbath. Because in addition to being an incredible voice, Ronnie also was a songwriter, unlike Ozzy, who never wrote his own lyrics. So Children of the Sea, Lady Evil, the gargantuan all-time classic title track, Heaven and Hell, Wishing Well, Die Young, which was also a single from the record, Walk Away, which is, I don't know how to explain, Walk Away is almost the most commercial song on the album. It's sort of like a more up-tempo, brighter song, if there is such a thing for Sabbath. And then one of the all-time sleepers, the closing track, Lonely is the Word, with just a ridiculous vocal from Dio. Incredible production from Martin Birch, who is a guy I would love to interview, but I understand is retired and doesn't do anything. I would imagine he's got to be late 70s at this point. But just a brilliant, brilliant record that turned 40 years old on Saturday, and I wanted to acknowledge that. Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell, happy anniversary birthday to that record. 40 minutes long, starts with Neon Nights, ends with Lonely is the Word. I mean, side 2, I believe, opened with Wishing Well when it was vinyl. Brilliant, brilliant record. And sadly, with Ronnie no longer being with us, never to hear those songs live again. I mean, obviously, the Dio disciples do some in the set, but I mean, the way we would hope with the actual band that made them. All right, a few other news notes here for you on this Monday that I want